my name is Kat, and this is my last book haul of 2017! And also forever, I'm quitting YouTube. I'm kidding, probably. But let's not talk about the future, because yikes. Let's talk about the present, because in this moment, I have like a crap ton of books sitting at my feet that I am now going to show you. So that's what we're doing. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's get started. So we're kicking things off with the Booksplosion Book of the Month pick for December, which is Otherworld by Jason Segel and Kirsten Miller. This month we're working with Penguin Random House, and we've actually already done the live show discussion for this book, so I will link that down below. It was our final Booksplosion live show of the year, so it was a fun one. It was a good one. You should check it out. This is the first book in a new YA sci-fi series, but it's actually pretty light on the sci-fi. Like, it takes place in a world very similar to our own. The main difference is that they have advanced virtual reality technology. The main character is a boy named Simon who finds himself getting more and more involved in this game that is not just a game when his best friend is involved in an accident and she goes missing, and somehow it's all connected to Otherworld. But yeah, since I have already finished this book, I will be talking more about my thoughts and opinions in my next reviews video, which should be coming relatively soon. The next book I have here is The Becoming of Noah Shaw by Michelle Hodkin. And I received this book from Simon & Schuster, who I'm also working with this month. So this is kind of the first book in a new series, but also kind of the fourth book in the Mara Dyer series. I believe it's more of a sequel than a companion. Like, it takes place after the events of the original trilogy, so you do probably want to read those books before you jump into this one. But if you enjoyed those books, and particularly if you enjoyed the character Noah Shaw, you might want to check this one out, because in this new series, Noah is our protagonist, and I am here for that. Now, I can't really talk about the plot of this new series because I really don't want to spoil the original trilogy at all. Like, the mystery and the tension of what is going on in that original trilogy was one of my favorite aspects. So I don't want to ruin any of that. But another one of my favorite aspects of that original trilogy was Mr. Noah Shaw. So yeah, I'm really excited to jump into this and just see, like, what the F is happening now. The next book I have here is Fragments of the Lost by Megan Miranda. And this is, I believe, a standalone thriller mystery kind of book. Basically, this is about a teenage girl named Jessa whose boyfriend has died. And his mother has enlisted Jessa to go through his room and his belongings and pack things up because his mom, like, can't bear to do it. But as Jessa starts to go through his belongings, she remembers things, and she also discovers things that start to paint kind of a different picture as to what actually happened the night he died. That sounds so intriguing, and I've been hearing some really good things about this book, so yeah, I'm excited to read it. Next up, I have here The Book of Dust by Philip Pullman. Now, this is a new book that takes place in the same world as the His Dark Materials trilogy, but it's not quite a sequel, nor is it a prequel. I believe Philip Pullman actually calls it an equal because it takes place during the same time period that the original trilogy takes place. We are just following different events. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. Like, the whole timeline placement really intrigues me, and also, again, I loved The Golden Compass. I loved it when I was a kid. I loved it during my reread this year. I was hoping I would have gotten to books 2 and 3 of the original trilogy before this one came out, but I've been kind of reading slumpy lately. Also, I'm probably going to just audiobook them all because there's a full cast recording and it's top notch. The next book I have here is one that I'm sure many of you are anticipating, and that is Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. Ooh, my nails match the book. If you guys didn't know, Sasha is one of my booktube friends, so I was fortunate enough to get my hands on an early finished copy of this book. It's not actually out until January, but I got an early copy. This is the first book in what is going to be a duology, and I'm just really excited to get to it. Sasha and Lindsay are both super awesome, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for us with this book. Next up, I have here, oh balls. The next book I have here is I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica L. Sanchez. Now this was kind of an impulse buy. Like, I'd seen it around, I'd heard some good things about it, but it wasn't until I saw it on Amazon for like $3 hardcover that I just immediately bought it. I couldn't resist. How could you resist? Basically, this book is about a girl named Julia who has kind of lived in the shadow of her perfect older sister, but then her perfect older sister dies, and Julia is struggling with grief and kind of finding out where she fits in the world. And also there's a bit of a mystery surrounding her sister, and that, you know, maybe she wasn't as perfect as Julia thought. Next up is another book that I got off of Amazon for a ridiculously cheap price, and that is The Tales of Shadowhunter Academy. Did I already buy this book? I didn't. Did I? I don't already own this book, do I? It would be on my shelf if I owned it, right? It's not like I just have piles of books sitting around my house all over the place. I never read Tales from Shadowhunter Academy. I just watched Christine's spoilery videos about them, so I knew all the things that happened. But yeah, I do want to read the stories and like see for myself what happens. I will most likely be reading this before I reread Lady Midnight and Lord of Shadows in preparation for Queen of Air and Darkness. So yeah. Next up, I have here Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is so much bigger than I expected. That's what she said. I actually don't know much about the plot of this book. I believe it's set in a futuristic world. We have people with supernatural abilities, like some hero-villain vibes going on. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't really matter that much to me because I love Marissa Meyer's books. The Lunar Chronicles is one of my favorite series of all time, so yeah, she's kind of just an auto-buy author for me. Like, she puts out a new book and I buy it because I love her writing and her stories. Next up, in big-ass books that double as a blunt weapon, I have Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. This book is over 1,200 pages, which is just, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous amount of pages. This is the third book in the... I need two hands to hold this book up. This is the third book in the Stormlight Archive series, which I actually have not yet started. Brandon Sanderson is another auto-buy author for me. Like, I really like his stuff. I trust him as an author, so I don't have any qualms about obtaining all the books in a series, even though I haven't read the series yet. So, next up, I have two books that I received unsolicited. Like, sometimes publishers just send me books, and a lot of the time, I'm not interested, because if I'm interested in a book, I will solicit it or buy it myself. But these two books, even though I did not request them, it kind of made my day when they showed up. So, here we go. So I have here Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. Now, I've actually never read a book by Jason Reynolds, even though I did just haul his Miles Morales book in my last haul. Was it my last haul? It was a while ago. It might have been. But I've been hearing amazing things about this book. It's told in verse, and it's been a while since I read a book told in verse, even though I do really enjoy that format. It seems like this is going to be a quick but powerful read, and I'm into it. Then I have here This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada. This is, I believe, the first book in a series. It is a debut novel, and it takes place in a world where people can recode their DNA and like change their bodies however they want. And our main character is a DNA hacking genius, so I'm already sold on that premise. But then we also factor in that there's this plague that has almost decimated humanity, and there's a possible cure, and she doesn't know who to trust, and it has all the makings for like a kick-ass book, and I'm into it. Next up, I have here Release by Patrick Ness. So this is a pretty recent release, and I've been hearing really great things about it, but I was hesitant to buy it because I actually have not yet read a Patrick Ness book, and I already own like 5 of his books. So why do I keep buying his books when I haven't even read them yet? I don't know if I'm gonna like them. Well, Patrick Ness was one of the keynote speakers at YALLFest this year, and he was so hilarious and charming. I was just immediately sold on this book because like this is his most recent release, so this is what he was kind of talking about the most, and he was so entertaining in the keynote that I came home and immediately bought this book. So that's the story of that. And finally, I have here Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. Now, this is a fairly recent release, and I don't actually know much about the plot, but I do know that I adore Anna Marie McLemore's writing. Just the way she strings words together, it's so lush and gorgeous, and like I'm a sucker for beautiful writing. Like it kind of reminds me of Laini Taylor's writing a little bit, and you guys know Laini Taylor is one of my favorite authors of all time. I adore her writing. So when I find an author whose writing is just like beautiful, I don't really care about plots. I need the books. I need them. So I picked this up. I had to buy it. I had to. And now it's mine. All right, that is it. Those are all the books I had to haul for this video. So that is gonna do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I will probably have another video up eventually. Bye!